You're listening to iCommunicate with your host, Mark Altman, on Full Service Radio, AM 830 WCRN. Once again, here's Mark.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope you're having a great afternoon, and I want to pick up right where we left off. So we were talking about measurement and how to measure success. And so again, in the corporate world, it's very often KPIs and people look to ROI. And I have a solution to measuring success. And the solution is listen. Listen to conversations. Because if after a sales training or after a departmental collaboration training, listen to how people are communicating differently. And the problem is that to execute that KPI, there's a couple of things that would have to take place. First of all, you would have to allocate the time to actually stop and listen to the phone calls or listen to the presentations to see if you can actually see a difference. Second, I don't think people always know what they should be listening for, which is as painful as that sounds. And so one of the things that's tricky about communication and really seeing improvement, I talked a moment ago about the practice aspect, but again, this goes down to what are you listening for? Is it a priority to allocate the time to do it? And are you motivated to do it? Because where does that actually fit into the priority of your time management? So I also want to extend this part of the conversation to talk about how people are motivated. And again, just to use one other example in the sales world, for all the executives and CEOs and HR people listening to the show today, I think we know that salespeople are typically motivated by money and incentives and commission. And what struck me the other day about this concept is, why are salespeople the only commissioned people in the workplace? And I was thinking to myself, why is that? And then I said to myself, wait, I got it. I figured it out. We don't trust salespeople because salespeople have so much autonomy that the mindset is, hey, if you're in sales and you're doing a good job, leave me alone. I want to make my own schedule. I want to make my own rules and follow my own rules. So we don't trust salespeople enough that they're going to be motivated to behave the way we want them to behave on their own. So we need to give them a carrot. We need to dangle an extrinsic motivator. Yet we don't do that with customer service. We don't do that with HR. So is the assumption that HR and customer service are motivated enough on their own, they don't need those, and salespeople just aren't? Well, that's the message we're giving. If you really break it down, that's the message we're giving. And one of the struggles we're seeing in the workplace today with unemployment so low is that so many people are coming to work now and they have their own needs and wants, and they're saying, I want to work at home, I want a flexible schedule, and so on and so forth. And now we're seeing that rear its ugly head in a different way, because now people are saying, well, but if you work at home, and not everybody, by the way, there are many progressive companies out there that have created this culture and having it work very successfully. But for the ones that aren't, and the ones that aren't comfortable with this kind of thing, again, it's because you don't trust the work will get done at home without direction, that people will be motivated to behave behind closed doors. So what is this about? I read a blog the other day about a company that's actually completely going away from commission sales reps. So is the problem that they need commission? Is it the compensation structure? Or are we not really uncovering people's intrinsic motivators? Are we not really uncovering what would make them do what they do? And I think what's interesting is you'll often hear a lot of salespeople say, well, I could only sell something if I believe in it. Well, yeah, I would think so, because otherwise, if you don't believe in it, you would feel like you're a liar, and it wouldn't feel authentic and genuine. Or I can only sell something if I'm passionate about it. Well, I think the only way we can ever influence and persuade people is if we're passionate about it, because otherwise it wouldn't really make any sense, and it would show in your emotion and energy. So when I think of uncovering people's motivators, there's a couple of different directions. And one of them is, why do you wake up every day and go to work? Why do you do your job? You're hearing a big stigma around millennials of, Well, millennials are hard to please because they need to find a sense of purpose and passion in their work. That doesn't seem so bad. And I think part of the problem here is that it's almost like becoming a parent. You know, when you become a parent, you're raising kids, you kind of lose some of your identity because you're so focused on taking care of your kids and raising a family. Well, when you do a job long enough, it's very easy to lose your sense of passion and purpose. And so as silly as that might sound, for engagement and bonding and culture, if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing and you're just doing it to pay the bills or to support your family, that can get old really quickly. And again, can affect your engagement level and your productivity in your work and the drive that you have in the workplace. So I think when it comes to motivators, there's what drives you internally to do what you do. And one of the examples I hear people answer that question a lot is they'll say, well, you know what it is? I really like to help people. And I say, what do you mean you like to help people? Why do you like to help people? And they don't know how to answer that because it seems like a strange question. Why do you like to help people? Well, here's why I like to help people. Okay, I became a dad at 23 years old, and just when I had turned 23, totally unprepared. It was a surprise pregnancy. Had known the girl I was with for a month, but tried to do the right thing and got married. And so I was in a spot early in my life where I had to learn how to be a father. I had to learn how to be a provider. I had to learn how to be a role model. And I didn't really feel like I had the skills and confidence to excel or succeed in any of those areas. So as I got older, I started to really empathize and understand when people were going through struggles. And I'm not talking about, it doesn't have to be a severe struggle. It could be a struggle as simple as, I'm not confident in sharing my ideas because I think everybody will think they're bad. It doesn't have to be a significant mental health issue. The range of emotional struggle can be wide. So I understood that. And so I really started over the years to study communication, write curriculum, get coaches, and surround myself with brilliant people. And then that's where the passion came from. So when I say I wake up every day and I enjoy what I'm doing, it's authentic. It's genuine. I really love doing this because every time I can make 0.1% contribution in lifting someone up instead of tearing them down, that's an adrenaline rush for me. I have to admit, I guess it's probably selfish because I think it probably helps me as much as it helps them. And so I think uncovering your motivators and knowing, no, it's not just that you like to help people. Was it something happened along the way in your along the way in your life where you weren't helped and you don't want someone else to share or repeat that experience? Is it that you had influencers that played a major role in your life and you appreciate and you're grateful of that and you want to pay it forward? There's lots of reasons that you have intrinsic motivators, but taking the time to discover what it is that gets you excited to do what you do beyond making it procedural is essential. And one of the interesting topics that I talk about when I train schools and professionals is a concept called the love languages. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the love languages, I highly encourage you to take 10 minutes. It's such a fun topic. It's a great family and couple conversation topic as well as corporate. And so the concept of love languages, what makes it so interesting is it spits in the face of everything we learned growing up. Because we were taught growing up, do unto others as you'd have done to you. And love languages say, scrap it. That's not right. Love languages say that we have a tendency to recognize and appreciate and be grateful to other human beings the way we would personally want to be recognized and appreciated. And that's not right. So the love languages, just to take you through them quickly, and then I'll let you know how you can apply them, one is words of affirmation. And an example of words of affirmation are, you just had an amazing thing happen at work. You come home and someone important to you says, Mary, great job, so proud of you. I always knew you had it in you. You're amazing. Those are words of affirmation. And that would be really meaningful to you to be appreciated. Your second choice is physical touch, hugs. Hell, sex for God's sakes if it's your personal. Definitely not at work for my HR people. But any kind of intimacy, and as my producer Ted says, not while driving. I love that. And but from an intimacy issue in the workplace, it could be a high five. It could be a fist bump, just some kind of connecting support. The third is quality time. And in corporate America, the way you can express quality time is by job shadowing. It can be by doing some one-on-one coaching for someone you believe is developing and reinforcing some of the skills that they're learning. The fourth is acts of service. And acts of service could be someone saying, listen, I'll finish all your paperwork today. Go home. You don't need to do anything about that. And finally, and I saved this one for last because this is the most overused one, and that's gifts. And again, going back to the sales world, how are people motivated in sales? Gifts. Now, I guarantee you, if you had 100 people in a company and you said to everyone in that company, we want to do right by you. We want to do something that makes you feel appreciated and recognized. And you said, we can give you money, and let's say it's $200, or we can do something else. How many people in the room do you think would say, well, what are the other things? It's almost like the old Monty Hall, let's make a deal. And here's what I know. These days, I know what's probably a heck of a lot more valuable than money to most people is quality time with their family and work-life balance. So if we just assume that the best way to appreciate and recognize people is by something we think would be important, or we don't take the time to ask, then that is why there can often be a lack of appreciation and gratitude. So when we come back, we will continue this conversation. We're going to talk a little bit about loyalty and the perception around loyalty and why there often can be a disconnect. We're going to talk about expectations and where expectations fall short and why expectations fall short. And lastly, we're going to talk about nagging rights, and I'm going to teach you what nagging rights mean and how you can earn them. So this has been iCommunicate. I'm your host, Mark Altman, founder of Mindset Go. We'll be back after the break.